Well, howdy y'all. Welcome back to the Social Regressive, your home for honest and independent gear reviews. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to test many different kinds of scope mounts, different qualities, different levels of price, different styles. We have quick detach, like you see back here on this Weaver. You have compensating, like this 20 MOA worn, and you have a couple different levels of athlons. So you have the Chinese made and the USA made. Both of them are quite good, and I recommend them both. I've gotten some Arkin rings and mounts that were actually quite nice, and just, yeah, a wide variety of stuff. But the one that I've been waiting on for over 10 years, I've been waiting for Leaper's UTG to fix these cool quick detach rings that they had way back in the day. I did a video on this a long time ago. The design was brilliant. It's kind of a big fatty ring with the 30mm rings. You could get, I think it was 6 screws across the top, so it was kind of large, beefy. I think the 1-inchers were 4 screws across the top. They came in a variety of heights that were just brilliant. You had extra high, high, medium, and I think they even had low models. And they had that quick detach lever on the side. So if you wanted to really quickly swap from a scope over to a red dot, or if you just wanted to go to your backup irons because maybe you dropped the scope and something had gone wrong, you could do that. It was just flip, flip, pop it off, and then you're ready to rock. The problem with those is that the lugs underneath were not squared off. They were rounded. And because they didn't protrude down far enough, you didn't really get the end of that circle. You didn't get the point of it, the apex, up against the Picatinny sections. Instead, it was kind of high. And what ended up happening is if you had the levers loose enough that you could still, barely pop them off, then it was still just slightly loose enough that it would shift just a little bit, and it would start to peen the metal on the Picatinny section. So it would actually start to damage the Picatinny rail on your rifles. I have one rifle, especially back in my closet, that has little dented sections in it. So I had to retire those rings as much as I didn't want to because I liked them so much. They returned to 0 every time. I could pop them off, I could put everything back on, everything worked out. But the fact that it was damaging my rifle, yeah, I'm not gonna have that. So now that we're, I think, over 10 years after these rings were initially released, they finally got the fix. So they not only have those cool rings again with the lever, but they also have mounts like these that now have the squared off lugs. Glory be. So I'm just gonna go ahead, because I loved those so much back in the day, I'm gonna rubber stamp these. You really need to go check these out. UTG rings tend to be much more affordable than a lot of their other counterparts. Weavers are pretty good too, pretty inexpensive. But the fact that you can get quick detach rings in a variety of heights and a variety of sizes, including now 34mm for your really big tactical scopes, this is, I think, probably the first place you need to look when you're looking for a mount. Unless, you are one of those that you got to have, the really high-end, expensive stuff, a Spur or a Tier 1, that kind of thing. But for the rest of us, I think we really need to start looking at these to see if they're going to meet our needs. I'm just thrilled. Thank you, UTG, for fixing this problem. I know it's a lot later that they've gotten around to it. And I'm a little bit out of it. I haven't been producing for a little bit, so who knows? It could be like a year old or something, but still, I am just thrilled that they've made these. And in addition to what I said, where you have different heights and you have different apertures here for different sizes of scope tube, they have compensating models as well. And I think they have a 34mm that's like a 30 MOA drop or 40 MOA. Absolutely fabulous. Thank you guys. For those of us that like to do precision long-range shooting, that really is a dream come true. So I can't wait to get a couple of these, pop them on my own rifles and see how they work. And anybody that's bought some of these, please put comments down below and let me know how they've worked out for you. Now there is one question that might be burning in some of y'all's minds at the very beginning when I was talking about taking a rifle scope off and putting it back on. I know there are going to be certain folks among you that are like, is that safe? Can I do that? Is it actually going to come back to 0? Well, I can tell you with great certainty, after lots and lots of testing with actually different scope rings, mounts, different manufacturers, different price points, that yes, as long as you have the kind of mount or scope ring that has, kind of a solid piece on one side and it only screws on the one side. So this isn't like the millet rings that are kind of windage adjustable, where you can adjust both sides and start to kind of change your angle on your mounts or rings. As long as you don't have that, then yes, you can actually swap these things around and they will come back not just to zero, but like to a very, very precise zero. I have had rifles like the one that I took out to a mile. I could swap between scopes on that and be confident that I'm going to be right back where I was and still be able to take that mile shot. I've only had 2 instances where that did not work out. The first one is those millet style rings that I talked about, which are useful in weird situations where maybe you have a bad base on a rifle that's kind of off at a funky angle, and so you need to correct for it. That's what those are for, and they don't like to come off and be put back on again, and you really want to lock those down with like Loctite or something. But the only other instance where I've had an issue is I put some quick detach rings back onto a rifle that was pretty dirty, and yeah, that was not a good idea. I should have wiped it down first. So I did have a very slight shift in zero. It just kind of it nudged up my elevation a very tiny amount. It probably would have affected, say, prairie dog shooting or something else that's really, really precise. But aside from that, I think it would still have worked mostly okay. But yeah, as long as you clean your surfaces before you swap things around, it should be fine. I feel utterly confident with a rifle like this, taking the scope off, going to backup irons, or putting a red dot on there and being able to pop back and forth between those. So if you want a rifle that is extremely flexible for any situation, maybe you have your, go to war type rifle, your defensive homeland type of thing, or you want a rifle that you can deal with different kinds of animals out on, like, the prairies that we have around here, a big ranch. You're not exactly sure if you're going to be getting into hogs, so you want a red dot, or if you want to, get into some higher magnification stuff. Bring both and swap them around. That gets the social regressive stamp of approval. I do it all the time, love it, and I really haven't had any issues. Those of you that have had issues, please put them in the comments down below. I'm really interested to hear. But thanks so much for watching, you guys. Please let me know how these work out for you, and I'll let you know how mine work out for me. I'll see you all around.